Good morning, runners. Happy Sunday. I have saddle pose for you today. So saddle pose is going to work into our knee joints and into our ankle joints. And then it's going to stretch our quads and our hip flexors. If we choose to lay down in this posture, it'll also work into your lower spine. I do want to give you guys, throw a little caution to the wind here. This posture is pretty intense, and I honestly don't feel that it's super accessible to all bodies. So if you are starting to get into this posture and just nothing about it is jamming with you, it's okay to completely skip it. We can work on something else later, but like I said, it's really intense. So if you try getting into this, and again, if you have knee problems in general or low back problems, just skip it. But if you're pretty healthy in your knees, no problems, no injuries, follow along with me because this is really good for runners. I'm going to show you what this looks like in its fullest version, just so you can know, and if it is in your practice, then you can do it. And then I'm going to show you all the other options to get into it. But this is what it looks like. You're going to see why it stretches our ankles and our knees. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing my seat to the floor, my knees are together, and I'm kind of wrapping my feet around my booty. I'm rolling my calves out to the sides to help my knees have a little bit of an internal rotation. I'm going to take my hands back behind me, fingertips pointed towards the top of the mat. Bringing my hands to my feet, I'm going to lower to my elbows, and then I'm going to lower to my back. Hands come over. So this is full saddle. So you can see how deeply flexed my knees are, the pressure on my ankle joints, the stretch here and the stretch here. This is not super comfortable. So to get out, you push yourself back in. That's the full extension. Woo-wee. Feel that in my knees. So let's break it down. First things, if you come to this position, this is what I'll suggest, try this first. If you get here and you're like, oh my God, everything is horrible, don't make me do this, Amy. Grab your props. If you feel a lot of pressure on tops of your ankles, let's pad those suckers. Throw that blanket down. Put the ankle tops, maybe even part of your shin on top of the blanket, and then set back on there. It should feel a lot more comfortable. If you get there, though, and then you're like, my knees still don't feel that great, you can grab a second blanket, a block, or a pillow, and you're going to take your second prop and you're going to put it on top of your calves. This is so cushy and feels so much better on my knees. Still stretching though, still working into those joints. We're just giving ourselves a little bit of extra support. So you can stay here. If we're adding props to this posture, we're not going to lay down. You can reach back behind you though and lift up. If you are stacked on a ton of props, reaching back is probably going to feel like a stretch for you depending on your arm length. So let's break out more props. You can put blocks or pillows behind you. That way it brings the floor up to you, and then you can place your hands down. So we're still working more gently into our low spine, still stretching the hip flexors, the quads, working into the knee joint and the ankle joint. So this is kind of a half saddle variation. Another variation you can take would be to just sit on stacked blocks. So maybe your ankles don't bother you, but your knees are a little bit tender. You're going to take blocks and you're just going to place them on their lowest height and have a seat on them. Same thing, knees stay together. You may or may not be able to roll your calves out, and that's not as important if you're sitting on props. Hands go back behind you, roll the shoulders back, and look up. So staying here for 1 minute, working your way up to 3. And if 1 minute's not doable at first, that's fine. I think the first time I did this posture, I might have lasted 2 seconds. So start wherever you're at. Yoga meets you where you are, and just breathe into it. If you can make it 30 seconds, go for 30 seconds. To get out, you just press yourself all the way back up. You can remove any props. Slide onto one hip and then pull the legs out. It might feel good to really bend into the knees. If you did lay all the way down, a gentle forward fold would help that back bend. And personally, I like just giving myself a seated hug. So bending into the knees, planting the feet, and then either wrapping your arms around the top of your shins or back behind your hamstrings and just letting your spine roll is a great way to counteract that back bend. So that's saddle for you. Let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, this one's pretty intense, but you can do it if you don't have back problems or knee problems. And otherwise, I think that's it. Actually, I'm going to give you, if you have back and knee problems, this is what you can do. You can take a bent knee sphinx. So, I'm going to throw one more thing at you guys. Coming down to your belly. Elbows go underneath shoulders. And you can just bend into your knees. And then actively keep pulling your heels towards your butt cheeks. So this one's a little bit more active. You're not just hanging out here. But we're still getting a little bit of a activation in that low spine. We're bending our knees, and then we're pointing our toes towards our shoulders. So we're still working on those joints. So if saddle looked like hella crazy to you and you didn't want to do it, this can be your second option, and you would hold. You can even grab a block here, and if you'd like to rest your head down, take that. This one should be a little bit more gentle. If you want to hold this for 3 minutes, you absolutely can. All right. Same thing to get out of this. Just shake anything out. Down dog might even feel good. Whatever feels good to you guys. All right, so there's lots of options for you. Please let me know if you have any questions. Good luck with your runs and have a great Sunday.